host of the CyberJA podcast. And on today's show, I am joined by Chris McGarity. Hi, Chris. Welcome to CyberJA.
Hi, Rashia. How are you?
I am doing fine. And you?
Doing great. Thanks
Okay,
for
excellent.
thanks for inviting me.
Sure. It was my pleasure. I definitely liked having uh, discussions with persons within the cybersecurity industry who are able to add value to persons within the cybersecurity community. Because that is my aim of doing this, to be able to enhance, to give back, and to help others along the way who are already in cybersecurity or considering to get into cybersecurity and pretty much need that guidance along the way. So Chris, for those who might be joining, Chris has many years of experience in cybersecurity. However, I will not spend a lot of time into all that details, but rather I will give her the opportunity to pretty much share with us her journey, just to tell us about herself or experiences along the way in terms of how it is that she has arrived to where she is now in her current career path or role as a professional within the industry. So, Chris, it's over to you.
Okay. Thanks, Rashia. So it's interesting. Thanks for inviting me on the podcast today. I've had an interesting career. Um, my career really didn't start with with cybersecurity, but um, after college, I had a hard time figuring out what I wanted to do. So I wanted to have some fun and do something that I knew I could enjoy. So I actually started with Radio Shack, working at Radio Shack with putting together electronics and taking them apart. And then eventually I moved to Verizon because I wanted an 8 to 5 job, so that I could have a family. And then while I was at Verizon, I was in an individual contributor sales position for many years as an outside sales rep, selling smartphones. And then eventually I moved into a section of the company that did vehicle tracking and asset tracking, which was in IoT. And um, I ended up becoming a channel manager with Verizon and won many trips with Verizon. So I was very successful there. And then eventually our company offered us packages. They said you could take another position within Verizon or or you could take a package. So I ended up taking a package, and that's when I started on my route for cybersecurity. And so I met some people along the way after I left Verizon and learned how to use LinkedIn to be able to meet people and get interviews. And I really had a hard time getting interviews for cybersecurity. It was tough because I didn't have much experience, and I would imagine that everybody that are viewing your podcast had the same, ran into the same thing. They don't have any experience, so it's hard to get interviews. So, anyways, I was messaging Ed Gutierrez on LinkedIn, and he said he was hiring 2 sales reps. And so I called him and we talked. And he said, "Yeah, I have this cybersecurity company and I'm having a hard time finding people." And so he invited me to come in. And our company is based out of Houston. And so this was eventually I was hired on 2 weeks before COVID hit. So I've been with Security about 2.5 years, and what's interesting about it is I didn't have really any cybersecurity experience, but I had experience in industrial IoT with vehicle tracking, and he thought I was a fit on the OT cybersecurity side. So um, the interesting part is that really, when I interviewed for the position, I really didn't understand what OT cybersecurity was. And people listening, maybe they're not familiar with it or not. OT stands for operational technology. So when I was interviewing with him, I asked him what he wanted, and he said, "I want you to get into 10 chemical companies for us." And now we're, much past getting into 10 chemical companies. So that's a little bit about how a little bit about my career path and how I got into cybersecurity.
Okay, great, excellent. Um, you made mention something very important, and is the fact that you never started out in cybersecurity. Is it safe to say then that if you have a desire to get into cybersecurity, then you could take on different roles within an organization and then pivot into cybersecurity?
Uh, yes, but it might be difficult, but if you work for an organization and they have a cybersecurity division, that's possible. Um, you just need to, I mean, I think learning a little bit about learning about the area that you want to get into, asking questions, meeting people, learning exactly, what they do in that division of the company could potentially help you to get into that area. So, yeah, I think so. I think it would be a little bit difficult, but as long as you're showing a desire and you're learning and and showing interest in that area, then eventually I feel like you could do that. Yes.
Okay, sure. Uh, you also mentioned the fact that you have a lot of persons who are, because cybersecurity is a broad field,
Right.
and a lot of persons, when they think about cybersecurity, they often focus on the ICT aspect versus the OT aspect of cybersecurity.
Right.
Based on your experience, would you say that there is a large opportunity within OT whereby persons could shift their focus in order to get more opportunities as cybersecurity professionals?
Well, right now there's a lot of information going on LinkedIn saying that there's really a need for more cybersecurity people in the OT field, and that they're really having a hard time finding these people, for these roles. So potentially, there might, there's a lot of opportunity in it. I'm also seeing there's a lot of regulations coming down the line for risk assessments on the OT side, and critical infrastructure is, it's a big job. And there's a lot of people, working in critical infrastructure, but we've got a lot of work to do. Just to give you an example, like the Oldsmar um, water plant attack, Colonial Pipeline. I mean, when critical infrastructure, when they're it's basically when you look at it, critical infrastructure would be assets, systems, and networks, whether physical or virtual, that are considered to be vital, that their incapacitation or destruction would have a debilitating effect on security, national economic security, health, safety, or anything along those lines. So it's a big job. And when something like that happens, there's big changes and regulations that come. Just the recent attack uh, of the of the uh, of the location, the electric company uh, in North Carolina, that Duke Energy was in charge of the plant. There was a lot of shootings there, and so our CISO did a press release saying, "Hey, they're going to create some new regulations as of this because of what happened. So it's a big job. I think there's a lot of roles in OT, but I think there's a lot of roles in IT as well. I don't think that, there's probably more on one side versus the other, you know. So,
Okay, sure. One of the questions that I often get is, what's the career path
okay,
to,
sure.
okay, yes, in terms of how is it that you have pivoted to where you are now, the career path journey in terms of what it is that they need to be doing or focusing on, because there's so much confusion in the industry among
Right,
professionals. Yeah.
right, absolutely. Um, so, um, as far as like a career path and getting started in cybersecurity, my suggestion would be, to meet other people in cybersecurity, go to, local cybersecurity events in your area. Get on Clubhouse. There's an app called Clubhouse and listen to some of the cybersecurity events. You could take some training, like Simply Learn is a low cost platform, or Coursera. There's free cybersecurity courses there. You can Google cybersecurity events in your area and attend those. So try to get, learn information, attend events, ask people what they do, because there are so many different areas. So as far as a career path, like, um, you know, one person may get started in governance and another person may get started in pen testing, or there's so many different areas, automation, even if they're in engineering. There's so many different areas of cybersecurity that, you kind of need to ask around and talk to people and find out, where your interests lie. Um, and then kind of go that route, get into the area that you're interested in, versus, someone telling you, hey, you need to start here or you need to start there. I have heard that governance is an easier place to get started in cybersecurity, just for the record. Just because it's if you're detail oriented and you like accounting or something along those lines, then governance is a good place to start.
Okay, great. One of the things you have also mentioned a number of vital points in terms of the way you have actually gone in terms of your career path is the fact you speak a lot about networking. You are putting yourself out there in terms of visiting the various events, using the various platforms like LinkedIn to make yourself well known. Because a lot of times persons are trying to apply for these many cybersecurity jobs, bearing in mind that there is a competition. It's a very challenging market. So, based on what you have said so far, a lot of your achievement in terms of what you're doing now boils back down to the fact that you took the time to create relationships, that networking, in order to get that guidance to help you along the way. So I am seeing definitely that there is value in persons trying to create their own brand, to take time to find an area of cybersecurity, regardless of what the job descriptions are saying and what is required. You have to take the time to find that niche and to demonstrate your skills in whatever way possible. Um, Outside of maybe using LinkedIn or attending uh, various events, I was just mentioning the fact that in a conversation that I had with a friend, is the fact that you have a lot of tools to your disposal to demonstrate your abilities. For example, maybe creating a podcast or YouTubing or uh, publishing various articles on various platforms talking about the things that you are capable of doing. Um, would you say that there is additional value in doing things like those? Because a lot of times persons are somewhat maybe hesitant to say that, well, I do not have the personality to maybe do a podcast or what we are doing now. Is there value in doing those sort of things in order to get?
Yes, I would definitely say so. An easy place to start is on LinkedIn. So my initiative on LinkedIn is to create and share free OT content, operational technology, cybersecurity content, news, and training. And I've been told that I'm one of the few people on LinkedIn that share good OT content. But the way I got started was to write articles on LinkedIn. So the first thing you want to do if you want to get started on LinkedIn is publish, 4 or 5 articles so that you can be, uh, you know, so that you can connect with people. People can read your articles and understand that, you're involved in the community. So, absolutely. I think I agree with what you're saying. It definitely doesn't hurt to, you know, to get out there and give back to the community, like what you're saying. So, did I lose you?
Oh,
Can you hear me?
okay, go ahead. Yeah. Yes, I'm hearing you now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Did you lose me for a bit there?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
I lost you just a little bit. I'm hearing you clearly now.
Okay. Did you hear what I said about LinkedIn and how, my initiative is um one of my initiatives is to share good content on operational technology, cybersecurity on LinkedIn. And so, what I do is the way I got started with this LinkedIn initiative is to write articles on LinkedIn. So you can go on LinkedIn and write 4 or 5 articles to get started on just different cybersecurity topics that you're interested in.
Okay, great. And that, of course, definitely shows your, and it's not just about putting articles on LinkedIn. That's one of the things I recognize. It's not just a matter of copying some things from somewhere, but it is about you showing how much you understand in terms of providing information that also helps other persons and to demonstrate that you understand what it is that you are posting about in terms of your specialization,
Right.
and doing it on a consistent basis. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I've since I've been with Security Gate for the past 2.5 years, I've been engaging on LinkedIn. I went from probably around 5,000 LinkedIn contacts. Now I'm at about 15,000. So I'm, connected to CISOs, CIOs, boards of directors, people that, make decisions in the community. So,
Okay. Great. So, so far, you have pretty much summed up a number of those essential points in terms of very good advice in terms of helping individuals to recognize that despite the various challenges that exist, then you have to find that way to overcome, to make yourself, to kind of create that brand representation for yourself. I mean, as simple as the way you represent your LinkedIn profiles, your description, your pictures, uh, the information that you post about, things like these will attract a certain market or in terms of organizations that are looking for your skill set within the industry. Uh, Lastly, though, what's that one advice that you would share with someone who is having challenges, maybe getting into cybersecurity? Or would you say that operational technology is something that they could, spend some time looking into, or just to share your that special advice that persons could really look into in order to propel their career into
Right.
becoming that? Yeah,
Yeah, I think the special advice that I would give is to, to just build out your LinkedIn profile, put a professional picture, in LinkedIn, and reach out to some people that you would like to talk to, or some people at companies that you would like to talk to, and just message them on LinkedIn and just connect with them and just say, hey, usually when you connect with somebody, you just mention something that you have in common. So maybe you might reach out to them and say, hey, we're both involved, we're both have a lot of interest in cybersecurity risk management. Can we connect? Right. And then connect with them. And then after they connect with you, send them another message saying, hey, I'd really be interested in spending, 10 minutes with you, asking you some questions about your career in cybersecurity. And, talk to people. And the more people that you talk to, the more you'll be able to get information on the different areas of cybersecurity. And it will help you to be able to target, what might be a good position for you. And you never know, sometimes these people may have positions open as well. So that would be
that's
my
a,
special advice.
that's, that's an excellent advice and a note to end on, because I can attest to the fact that that has transition or help to transition my career path into what it is now. Building that relationship. Persons, you might be so surprised that there are so many individuals out there that are willing to help you, to mentor you, to guide you along the way, and also to eventually, bring you to the the job opportunities that you want and to create a level of value. So that's an excellent note for us to end on. But there's one question that I see someone is asking is that what are some good pages to follow on, say, LinkedIn for cybersecurity news and updates, or Twitter? Uh,
On Twitter, I actually don't use Twitter very much. I, generally what I'll do is just I will, on the OT side of the business, if you're interested in learning more, you might, Google or watch some YouTube videos on the Purdue model, because on in operational technology, um, the Purdue model is kind of where the OT side of the house starts. But yeah, I'm not much of a user on Twitter. I might that's I'm glad you asked about that. I might start getting more involved with Twitter. So I appreciate the question.
Likewise, myself. I need to. So, yes. All right. So, there we have it. Our discussion with uh, our guest, Chris McGarity. And it was indeed a pleasure. And I look forward to future conversations.
Yeah, I
So,
enjoyed it,
for,
Rochelle.
okay. Bye for now, guys. Have a great
Thanks
day.
for the time. Bye bye.
Okay, bye.